Welcome to Staying United Methodist, sponsored by Imagine Kentucky Methodism. Imagine Kentucky Methodism is supported by laity and clergy of the Kentucky Conference, who envision a form of Kentucky Methodism that is welcoming to people of all skin colors, ages, genders, sexual orientations, cultures, abilities, and theologies within the United Methodist Church. I'm your host, Phil Hill, and today our guest is Reverend Junius Dotson, General Secretary and CEO of Discipleship Ministries of the United Methodist Church. Reverend Dotson was a part of the team of individuals who crafted the legislation called the Protocol of Reconciliation and Grace through Separation. That will be before the General Conference later in September. But today, Reverend Dotson, we welcome you as we ask you to share a little bit about your personal perspective about the need for stronger inclusiveness within the United Methodist Church. Reverend Dotson, we welcome you.
Thank you, Phil. I appreciate the invitation to share with your audience today. Particularly in the moment that we find ourselves in, pandemic, and of course, dealing with the virus of 1619, this virus called racism. It's amazing to me that we continue to find ourselves in the same place. And I think, if there was ever a group or an entity with a prophetic call to fight against racism, to bear witness to what acceptance and an inclusive church looks like, I think it's the United Methodist Church, and I think it's for such a time as this. Bishop, if you remember, in the General Conference of 2000, right? General Conference of 2000, delegates in 2000 apologized to Black churches that fled the denomination because of exclusion and bigotry. And it was at that General Conference that Bishop Grove said at the time that racism has lived like a malignancy in the bone marrow of this church for years. And so, racism continues to be a persistent evil in our society. It's still present in our church. And we have to stand up and speak out against it because it undermines, the basic tenets of Methodism. Basic tenets of Methodism are, personal piety, social holiness, and availability of God's grace to all people. And I think that's what we're called to. So as we can't ignore our history, we can't escape our history, but we can learn from it. So as we think about our history of discrimination, selective exclusion, what do we learn from those examples? And what we learn from it is, that we always somewhere down the line apologize because we gotten it wrong. And I'm going to suggest that perhaps we can get it right on the front end this time. And so that kind of helps drive my belief system and what I understand. I believe God calls us to be a church that affirms all people. I believe that God calls us to be a church that affirms the sacred worth of LGBTQ persons, that celebrates their gifts and commits to being in ministry together. I believe in a church that I believe God calls us to be a church that actively rejects and seeks to dismantle the systemic racism that is still very much alive and well in our denomination. And I don't believe the two are mutually exclusive because there are thousands of people of color in this church who live at the intersection of race and their sexual identity. I believe that part of our task as faithful believers, and then particularly as faithful leaders in this church, is to work to live into a vision, a scriptural vision. And from Galatians, that there is neither Jew nor Greek, nor slave nor free, nor male nor female, nor Black nor white, nor straight or LGBTQIA, for we are all one in Christ Jesus. I believe that we are called to see all the people that God has called us to reach as we make disciples of Jesus Christ. and that all should have an opportunity to participate in fully transforming the world. I believe that to resist evil, injustice, and oppression in whatever forms they present themselves was not just some slogan or something that we said as a matter of fact. It's something that we committed ourselves to as part of our baptismal vows. And so those are my personal beliefs, as I think about, the church and where we are. Dr. King said that in the process and in the struggle for that which is right, we have a cosmic companion, and that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And I still believe in the United Methodist Church. I believe in our theology, and I believe that at our core that there's a basic desire to continue to be who God has called us to be. That's not going to happen overnight. It's going to now always be comfortable. It's going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of struggle. But together we can do it if we're committed to doing it. We can be a witness to the world, and that's what my hope is for us.
Wow, that's powerful, and I thank you for that. You've lived that in so many ways, and I appreciate what you have shared with us in this segment. We in other future segments, we hope to be able to interview others in all of these areas that we talk about that we want to be embraced and include, and we look forward to hearing their ideas as well. But you've been so insightful to us, and we want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Phil.
Well, Junius, God bless you, and God bless you that are watching this episode. And look for more segments on this YouTube channel as we move closer and closer toward General Conference.
Thank you.